How do you actually become the best version of yourself? Is there some formula or process that you can follow to show up and 2.0 yourself every single day? Well, I'm gonna share with you mine coming right up. What's going on, guys? Matty here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna share with you 10 simple things that I follow and focus on every single day, that when I do these 10 simple things at a really high level, not only do I feel like I'm showing up as the best version of myself, I am showing up as the most optimized person that unlocks new opportunities, new wealth, new relationships, better levels of health. I feel very what I like to call weaponized or dangerous. That we all know that feeling, right? When you feel like there's nothing that can be put in front of you that you can't just steamroll right through and accomplish and win or overcome. And we all know the contrary, right? Of feeling like you're in a rut or feeling stuck or feeling like you're just not getting the growth or the momentum or results that you want to get. And when I was talking with a coach and a mentor of mine a few years back, and I felt like there was nothing you couldn't put in front of me that I wasn't going to crush, I wasn't going to win, I wasn't going to overcome, there was nothing that could stop me. He stopped and paused and he said, "Why do you feel this way? What are you doing right now in your life? I want you to create a formula so that way you can tell me exactly what's going on in all of these areas of your life. So when you're not feeling that momentum or you're not feeling like you're showing up as the best version of yourself or the most weaponized version of yourself, you know what formula to go back to." And so in today's video, I'm gonna share with you my 10 things, and I'm gonna invite you to create your 10 things that when you do those things, you feel very dangerous, you feel very weaponized, that will put you in a power position to go and show up as the person you know you're capable of showing up as, and in turn, you're gonna unlock new levels of wealth and income or career growth, new levels of, relationships and network, new levels financially, new levels with your health, whatever it may be. We just want to give ourselves the best chance, and the only way we can do that is being, one, aware of what has us operating at 90% or better, so that way we can go and double down on those things when we want to keep that momentum and build off that, and we can go and work on those things and course correct to swing the pendulum back in the right direction. But before we dive in, be sure to hit that like button. Let the YouTube gods know that there's some value being dropped in this video. If you enjoy it, feel free to share it with a friend, a family member, anybody that you think can get value from it. And don't forget to drop me a comment or question below. All right, let's dive in. So I'm gonna share with you the 10 things I identified that when I'm doing these things at a really high level and I'm doing them consistently, I feel very dangerous. And I want to invite you, as I go through these things, I'm sharing with you what works for me. I want to invite you to come up with the things that work well for you. And I want you to think back to a time when you felt like life was great. Work was good, health was good, finances were good, your relationships were good. Pretty much it was like life was kind of effortless, and whatever was put in front of you, you were just confident that you were going to show up and find a way to figure it out and crush it. And if you haven't had that feeling yet, this is going to be a great exercise for you to think about and envision and imagine how you want to show up in these categories, so that way you can at least start leaning in and testing whether or not it leads you to the results that you want to get. Number one, I'm eating healthy and clean. For me, I realize that I'm a fat kid at heart. I like to eat. I work out just so I can eat. With that being said, I also know that when I have discipline around my nutrition and my health, and I do the things that I know I need to do and serve me at a really high level, I ultimately have the energy as well as the fuel by being very aware and intentional about what I'm putting into my body. So I'd say about 85% of the time I eat healthy and clean, so that way I can go off the wagon and be crazy and the fat kid that I want to be and eat all of the good food that I really enjoy eating. But I know that when I'm eating healthy, I'm eating clean, I'm intermittent fasting from late into the evening all the way until about noon the next day, I keep my energy levels really high, I'm very clear-headed, and I'm being a little bit more intentional and disciplined in other areas of my life because I'm being very intentional and disciplined in an area that I want to be bad in and eat all the bad stuff in, but I've found a way to build barriers around that, and the intermittent fasting helps me. So I'm not saying this is what you need to do, but thinking about what does clean eating, what does good nutrition and fueling your body with the nutrients that it needs to show up and thrive from an energy perspective in all areas of your day and your life. What does that look like for you? Get clarity in that, test it out, and see what works. Number 2 is sleep. This is something that I've always been one of those people where I'm like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. But at the end of the day, what I have found by having a lot of smart people on the Millionaire Mindcast podcast and talking about sleep science, they recommend 7 to 8 hours of sleep. For me, I have identified after testing this out many times that my sweet spot is really 6 hours. Yes, sometimes I get 5 hours. Other times when I get 8 hours, I don't actually feel that optimized and feel a little bit more tired and actually sluggish. So finding out what the right sleep number is for you from an hours perspective per night, you do have to give your body, your mind, that ability to recharge, re-energize, and come back full and ready for the next day. Because at the end of the day, energy really is a superpower that we all have the ability to control. Now, you can bring energy into any environment, any conversation, any relationship, any opportunity, and by being very intentional about what that energy looks and feels like, that can create some major upside for you. We all know those individuals that we've been around and you're like, man, I just like that person, or that person inspires me, or man, that energy is infectious, right? So being intentional about giving yourself the necessary sleep, that is something when I'm getting 6 to 7 hours of sleep per night, I feel very optimized and empowered to show up as the best version physically the next day. Number 3 is physically working out, moving your body. We were designed as human beings to move, not to be stationary. And I have found that this is really, in my opinion, there's 2 things. One I'll share with you a little bit later, but this one, 2 things that are probably the most important lead dominoes in me showing up as the best version of myself. And this one, working out, is probably one of the most, if not the most critical for me. It leads to when I can mentally have the discipline to show up in the gym or to go physically do something that oftentimes I don't want to do, and I win that war in my own head and physically get my body somewhere doing something that I didn't want to do. That discipline leads to confidence and ultimately reinforces my mental focus, my mental discipline in other physical areas of my life. When I'm working out in the gym and I'm doing it consistently, I am probably gonna make better decisions on what I eat. I'm probably gonna be a little bit more intentional about this or that. And I also know that when I'm not working out and I'm not physically moving my body, I kind of feel like I'm in a rut. It feels like something's missing. So for me, doesn't mean that is that way for you. This is one of my lead dominoes. And so knowing what some of your lead dominoes are can allow you to focus on those things and simplify, instead of doing all 10, maybe the 1 or the 2 things that really lead to the biggest momentum and results for you and showing up as the best version of yourself. For me, physically working out 5 to 6 times per week definitely has me showing up in a more optimized way on everything that I do throughout my day. Number 4, I'm consistently executing on my morning and my evening routines. The analogy that I like to use is I'm the bowling ball, the lane is the day, and my morning routine and my evening routine are the bumpers that keep me from going in the gutter and still hitting pins down every day. So when I do my sunrise 6, or when I do my evening routine to kind of organize my thoughts, set up my next day for success, be clear on what I'm gonna hit the ground running on, and then I have that morning routine to follow it up, those are little tiny injections of productivity, of confidence, of fulfillment, of happiness, of peace, that allow me to show up as the most optimized version of Matt as I go throughout my day. So identifying a very simple routine for yourself in the morning and a very simple routine for yourself in the evening could be something that helps you be very intentional and clear on what has you showing up as the best version of yourself to get the best results. Number 5 is when I am working on projects that I am extremely passionate and enthusiastic about, I find that that passion and that enthusiasm overflows into other areas of my life. So being very intentional and aware about what I'm giving my energy, what I'm giving my attention to in my job, in my career, in my day-to-day life is very important for me showing up as the best version of myself. Number 6 is I feel like I'm making a difference and adding value to people's lives, whether it's through the podcast or a video like this, or just taking a phone call or checking in on a friend or a family member. When I am intentional about finding ways to add value to people, to help them in some way, that ultimately, no matter what I do, it doesn't have to serve me whatsoever, and it's just pure selflessness, that in itself fills my cup, brings fulfillment, brings joy, and ultimately actually brings a lot of amazing opportunities that do end up serving me and helping me with my own goals. But just that in itself creates more awareness and intention for me going about my day-to-day and being a good person and finding those opportunities to add value. When I'm doing that, I feel pretty damn good about myself. Number 7 is when I am working with world-class talent, people who I have fun with, who challenge me, who inspire me, who kind of force me to level up. Being in proximity to those individuals, I find the natural byproduct is I have to show up as a better version of myself because 1, I have this competitive spirit, but 2, just by being in proximity to those individuals, the natural byproduct is I get to collect some of their, tailwinds. I get to get in their ripple. I get to be in their wake. I get to learn from their wisdom, their experiences, what they're up to, as well as be inspired and challenged by them to take my own game to that next level. So who you surround yourself with, as we all know, is a very critical piece to being successful. If you hang around 9 complainers and people who talk about their life being horrible and never being able to make money and never gonna get anywhere and blame game and point the finger, well, guess what? You're probably gonna become the 10th person. Vice versa, if you hang around 9 other, millionaires or solutions-based people or abundant thinkers or big action takers or positive people, you're also gonna become the 10th. So when I am surrounded by high-minded, high-achieving, high-action-taking, positive people, I often find that I'm showing up as the best version of myself. Number 8, let's be honest, we all feel better about ourselves when we are making money and achieving goals. When I am making money, when I am moving the needle forward on my financial goals, and I feel like I'm making progress, I feel better about myself, I feel more dangerous, I feel more competent, I feel more confident in what actions I'm taking. So always looking for those opportunities to improve or optimize your income, or to be more in control of your expenses and play better defense. Those things are empowering and will serve you in showing up better on a daily basis. The last 2 are about my wife and my kids. And you heard me say earlier that I have kind of some lead dominoes that if I were to narrow down all of these 10 and focus on a couple things, there are certain things that have much more impact and weight on me showing up as the best version of myself. And that is when it comes to my wife and my kids. When I am emotionally, physically, spiritually connected to my wife, because let me be honest, when things are good at home and things are great with my wife and those gardens are being watered and met, life is pretty damn good, and it trickles into other areas of my life. Same thing with my kids. When I am showing up as an intentional and present father, and I know I'm doing my daddy duty, I show up more confident, more disciplined in other areas of my life. So whether you're married or you're not, you have kids or you don't, finding emotional connections that really fill your cup and showing up very intentionally, very purposefully in those relationships and doing what you know you're capable and need to be doing in order for them to thrive. When those are winning and when those are hitting on all cylinders, you become very confident and dangerous in other social, relational settings as well. So for me, when my mental, physical, and spiritual relationship with my wife is on point, and when I'm showing up as an amazing and intentional father with my kids, I find that those dominoes trickle into knocking over other dominoes that I talked about here in this video much more effortlessly. So there you have it. When I'm optimized at a 90% or better, and I feel like, ooh, watch out, I will crush anything that gets in my way, that's usually what is going on. Now, how I have those things going on is more of a habits and a discipline and a routine and a rhythm type of thing. However, I now know what it is that actually gets me in that powerful state to be the best version of myself and ultimately and hopefully unlock the best results that I can unlock for myself. So I invite you, if you're not clear on what has you showing up as the best version of yourself, think back to some of the times in those categories with your health, your nutrition, your sleep, your working out, at work or your career, your relationships. What's going on in your life when those things are at a 9 out of 10? Get clarity in what those things are so that way you can write it out and know that when you want to show up as the best version of yourself, here's what you need to do and here's how you can get into that flow state. And vice versa, when you're off your game, now you can go back to the things that you know will lead you to getting back to that 9 out of 10 or better. And here's one final tip. Once you get clarity in what those things are for you and your formula for showing up as the best version of yourself, what's going on in your life, what things you are not doing, then print that out. Get in proximity to it. I have mine on my mirror at home. I've got mine on my desk. I've got mine in my gym bag. I've got mine in my car. I want to be hyper aware of what I have identified is what goes on in my life and what I do in order to be the best version of myself. Just by being more aware, that gives us the opportunity to be more intentional, to take the action, to get the result. So that does it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Again, know that there isn't one size fits all. There is no magic bullet or formula for showing up as the best version of yourself, but we can be intentional and get clarity in what works best for us or what works best for you. As I have identified, I think that's what worked best for me. So I'm curious, which one do you guys identify with most? Which one of those tips did I share that resonates as being maybe one of your lead dominoes? Drop that in the comments section below. Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed this video, all I ask, smash that like button. Feel free to share it with a friend or a family member. And until next video, keep investing in yourself and your wealth on your march to $1 million and beyond. Cheers, my friends.